Hey everybody, this is pretty much new, I guess. Well, it's a new idea. As you can see here, it's a kind of a fully fleshed out Lego acoustic guitar that I'm planning on building. Pretty cool. Hopefully this works. Been kind of tinkering around with the idea for ages. The body size is pretty much the size of my full-size acoustic guitar, with the width, even though it's a pretty massive freaking ice cream sandwich of the brown and the white, is about the same size as the largest width of my Dreadnought acoustic guitar that's also full-size. What you can see is, I guess, you know, the color pattern being white and brown, mostly just trying to pick different colors from the Lego electric guitar, which honestly actually turned out looking pretty cool when I actually finished it. I am reusing the idea of the Lego electric guitar neck, headstock, and the bridge design. I'll just kind of wheel in and closer here, bigger look. Honestly, this model's not really finished. It's kind of more thrown together, sort of say, just to see how everything would fit. There's some ideas that like I'll be going back on later, like as you can see the bracing inside, but that's not the point right now. Alright, so I am implementing the ideas that worked for the Lego electric guitar into this body, being that the bridge here, pretty much the same principle as the Lego electric guitar, where it's fully placeable. I haven't really made like the actual like bridge plate like a regular acoustic guitar, which I'm planning on doing. Is just I'm just kind of fleshing out the idea right now. The Lego acoustic guitar neck is the same idea as the Lego electric guitar neck, other than the fact that it's being one Lego piece thinner, which I'm hoping will actually work, because I kind of found that it like the metal was perfect, but it was way too heavy. So I'm hoping I can thin it down by one Lego piece height, and possibly adding in a channel in the middle so it can relieve weight coming into the body. You can see you can kind of see like the pattern here, where like, you know, acoustic guitar has like a binding, or certain guitars have like bindings, like Gibson guitars and stuff like that. They like have binding around the headstock. I guess I kind of added a little bit onto the fretboard. It's kind of how I made the when I was making the neck of the Lego electric guitar. I kind of found that the idea of using the full 1x6 flat tiles was a better idea when putting on the frets, which this time I'm actually going to be using actual frets. That's something else I'm going to address too, is like the changes, like the big time changes that I'm going to be making to this thing too. But so far it's going to be one piece thinner. I'm hopefully going to make it lighter, not too neck heavy, because that was a big problem on my other Lego build. And other than that, everything else is pretty much the same. The headstock is actually 4 pieces wide, which I kind of found is like the magical number of how many pieces thick can you have with the reinforcement, or like the truss rod, I guess in this case I would call it the truss rod, adding in the extra reinforcement, and how much the string, how much it was pulling the tension, and it kept it perfect. It kept it perfectly flat. So I'm maybe using the 4-piece thickness again. Actually, I made it 5 pieces. Okay, that information was wrong. Okay, so it's 5 pieces. Plus, on the underside, I will be adding a base plate that's going to be cut to shape to make it a flatter surface, so that the tuning keys will be able to screw down flat instead of being onto like the little nubs underneath, which is going to be the same case on the neck, where I did the same thing on the Lego electric guitar, where the underside of the neck was all flat pieces, so it would be a lot more comfortable when you're going up and down the neck. The heel is kind of just like an idea of like, it looks kind of cool. In this case, it's not really going to do much. I just kind of added it in just for like the look. It kind of looks a little bit stupid. I might just like fix that up a little bit. But for now, I guess mostly it's just to bring everything together. Like the overall build I had to redo, and this is probably as close to a decent looking acoustic guitar shape that I can come up with. It actually looks pretty good if I give it like the underneath shot. The shape actually comes out pretty well. It comes out to, I think, 62 studs long, which is, I think, 2 studs bigger than my actual acoustic guitar. I have to check that again. Compared to the Lego electric guitar, is that I'm going to be bracing it to the bridge this time, possibly anchoring the strings onto it. Kind of like having the actual plate in the acoustic guitar where the strings really anchor onto that more than it does on the actual soundboard. So yeah, so just a simple rosette, nothing too fancy. I made it just kind of like a diamond shape, or just like a weird square with stupid edges if you look at it at this angle. So I'm also planning on adding the strap buttons onto the body as well, kind of more generally onto just on the body instead of the heel. I made the heel so that it's possible if I ever need to just access the higher notes, if I'm just ever playing it, or if I just kind of get rid of the idea. It's not really super fastened onto the body where it's like a critical portion that I have to rebuild the body. It's literally just like put right on the neck and then just a couple pieces on the bottom, which I could just flip over one of the 1x2s here, this little piece right here, which will kind of complete the shape, and I'll be able to just make, I'll just be able to cut out base plate pieces to fully make the neck more comfortable to play. So a couple changes I'm going to be making to the acoustic guitar compared to the Lego electric guitar is that the metal truss rod connecting to the body will be one plate thinner, possibly have a channel in the middle to get rid of more weight, and the truss rod will be connected to a frame that will be connected to the bridge and to where the strings are going through the body to kind of add more tension. So the main bricks of the walls are about one stud long, one stud being like just like this little circly bit right here. I'm trying to make it one brick thin as possible to try to make the internal size as big as possible with the, you can see little flat plates here, kind of adding in a more structural shape to the body for when I put the plates connecting it to the actual like walls of the body. So the plates, or so the actual bricks are going to be 1 to 2 pieces thick, barring the end of the guitar, which is going to be big enough, so I can actually put a strap button onto it. And same thing to the front, about the same. But pretty much like the walls are pretty much going to be at like 1 to 2 bricks thick as possible, except for the actual bricks that connect. So these three, pretty much making it the same size as a brick, is about 2 to 3 studs long in certain areas to try to make it so that I can join the sound, so I can add the soundboard, the bottom soundboard, and connect it to the walls and try to make it as secure as possible. They're just flat plates, so I can actually kind of like mesh them more cleanly, like actual brickwork, like pretty much what I did to the walls here. Like you kind of see that. You can't really see how I meshed it in. It's pretty clean looking. I tried keeping it as clean as possible. Certain areas you can kind of see like different pieces just kind of coming in. I wanted to try to make the binding 2 pieces, but certain parts don't really come in brown. Yeah, they don't really come in brown, so that's kind of like, you know, my bad, but honestly it's still gonna look good. It still looks delicious, you know. Ice cream sandwich. I guess that's what I'm just gonna call it now, is the ice cream sandwich guitar. So the soundboard and the back of the guitar are pretty much the same width. I'm trying to keep it as similar to a acoustic guitar as possible, being 2 pieces thick, being that like the open areas of the guitar, I'm trying to treat it as like an open area inside, like trying to like give it more room as possible. It's going to be weird because it's also going to have some sound, like I guess very minor sound deflection from the shape of the bottom of the pieces. I'm using these large pieces, and the, I guess, like deflection of like the actual studs on the top of the plates, kind of like adding in, I guess, to the sound, which might actually make it sound cool, or just might, you know, just kill the sound completely. But yes, I am trying to make it 2 pieces thick as possible, so it's not going to be really too thick, which will kind of add a problem of flexing or just bending in certain areas. So I do have to add in some bracing, which the idea will come in later, because I can kind of build it in 4 pieces, like 1 being the neck, 2 being the top, like the top plate, 3 being the wall, and 4 being the bottom. The acoustic guitar bodies can go up to about 1/8 thick for just like width. So that's my idea of like trying to use just 2 parts to just to try to keep it as familiar as possible to an acoustic guitar, and to try to maximize just, you know, the size inside the guitar, and try to keep it so that like if it does vibrate or just like add some more like freaking resonance or whatever the hell some, you know, some magical doodahs some stupid acoustic guitars do, maybe that will affect the sound. So I'm just trying to keep it, and I do have like an acoustic guitar that's about 1/8 thick for the soundboard, so I'm kind of keeping as close as possible to that. What's also going to be interesting too is that because of the walls, because they're so thick, it is, you know, making the inside a lot smaller, but in the same case, it's also providing like little air gaps in between, not only inside the wall where like you can kind of see the cracks of a guitar, which like I tried like minimizing that as much as possible, but that's kind of impossible. The back doesn't really count because I kind of made that a little bit thicker. I think I made it like up to here thicker. So I think this part's not that bad. This part of the wall might leak some sound out, so it might sound pretty good, or you might be able to hear it well enough from the side of the guitar. But that might not be the case because it also has a little groove or like a channel inside, like an open space inside, where air can stay in, so it can also kind of like insulate the sound a little bit too, which like if you try to soundproof things, if you have like a room inside of a room, you're also keeping the sound, like the air gap also kind of helps with the soundproofing. So pretty much this is what the inside is going to look like. The neck is going all the way down to the bottom plate, adding in more reinforcement to the body and the neck, also providing me the ability to at some point be able to bring a plate down so I can make a bracing going all through the bridge, which I also kind of hid here. So the bracing idea is going to be changing. It's not really the final. Like I said, it's literally just pieces. Okay, that it doesn't have one there. So it's basically just the pieces with the axles in it, having just normal places kind of add the bracing, or just to kind of help keep the bracing in. Which right now that's an idea. It is adding a crap ton of bricks. If I remember correctly, all these pieces kind of add about 200 pieces to the count, which I'm trying to keep it around 2,000, but it might be either higher or lower depending on any kind of changes I do. It will be a little bit higher when I change up when I add stuff to the bridges to kind of make it more acoustic looking. So yeah, so that's the idea with the bracing. I'm still changing that. Like I said, I don't really have one for the top right now. That's going to be a separate time when I do that, because I need to really plan that out. So pretty much this is the overall build of the acoustic guitar. So far, a couple changes I have in mind, which is mostly the changes from the electric guitar is that instead of having the bar stop in front of the pickup, which is almost to the bridge, I'm gonna have it fully to the bridge instead. That should get rid of any tuning instability that I have on the Lego electric guitar, because if I have the strings going all the way to the steel bar, I would literally never have any issues tuning that thing ever again. The acoustic guitar neck is going to be the biggest change is that it's going to be one piece thinner for a little bit more comfort playing. The bar is going to have a channel in the middle, being that the bar is actually 4 studs wide inside the neck, going all the way to pretty much the end of the neck, connecting into the guitar. And I'm going to add a channel in there so it can actually get rid of the weight, so I can try to keep the neck dive as low as possible. The bridge is going to be relatively the same. Honestly, it worked perfectly fine. There's so the bridge is perfectly fine. I'm pretty much going to be keeping it the same. There's really no reason for me to change it. The only thing I could really do is just kind of make it look more like an acoustic guitar, instead of kind of like a little brown stain on the top of the freaking acoustic guitar. Another change that I might make in the long run is that, first of all, the heel of the guitar, if I just kind of plan on just getting rid of it, I'll just get rid of it. But right now it actually kind of brings the look of the acoustic guitar together. So honestly, it's just literally just there for looks. The thickness of the ice cream sandwich here, I can make it a couple of pieces thinner. That will be really no issue. I kind of lined up the pieces so that when I do get rid of some of the pieces, it will comfortably match the guitar, so the change will be relatively easy. It will also get rid of the piece count, as you can see on the bottom left corner here, which I haven't mentioned is 2,313. It's a lot of pieces. I tried keeping it under 2,000 pieces or around there. but honestly, like, I couldn't really do that. Yeah, these pieces I need to change. Like, there's nothing really else much to say right now, honestly, until I build it. It's kind of the same thing like I had with the Lego electric guitar. It took me, well, mostly the neck took me until like the third try that it actually worked. But making the body from my original idea, I had to actually change the main design 3 times before I got it. Not like the full body, but like the actual center block from where the strings go into, like, the idea of that adding in the pickup kind of, I didn't really take careful consideration of the size, so I had to change it. So this will probably not be the final design. This is basically just a rough sketch, as I could probably say it is. It looks good, kind of is pleasing to the eye. It's actually technically this is the actual second attempt of me making this acoustic guitar. The first one actually turned out to look really ugly. I did not make the upper bout was not right. It was way too far back. The middle bout was way too thin. The lower bout was right, but I had to extend it. But this shape is perfect. Like if I just kind of like scroll it far, it just looks like a pixelated version of an acoustic guitar. Sorry for the ugly view. But yeah, it looks, honestly, it's as close as it can be. It is a massive shape. It will probably be as uncomfortable to play as it was with the Lego electric guitar, being that the studs will probably dig into my arm. Very small changes I would like to make. So a couple changes I also want to make too, which is just kind of like little ideas I had with the electric guitar, is that I'm trying to use these little triangle pieces as the nut, which honestly worked a lot better than I originally thought. Being that like it actually, I thought it would grind down really quickly from me retuning guitar, changing strings and stuff, but it honestly been lasting pretty well past what I originally thought. I was thinking of maybe adding in, I bought Tusk nuts to kind of create new guitar nuts, and I was thinking about just making my own prefab Lego pieces just literally for the nut and the bridge, which the bridge would be a lot harder, but so far it's kind of like faring out really well. And the idea of me actually being able to intonate it this way and just being able to flip around the pieces works out beautifully. So honestly, that's another change that I don't really need to make. And if I like, the intonation actually works out really well. If I turn on the pieces, it actually does change that tiny bit. If I need to make a big change, I have it onto these little pieces where it's just like the 2 on like the 2x1 plates with like the 1 stud in the middle. That makes the change really easy. So I'm thinking about either making those pieces or just kind of making it the same, where like I'm just using the little chocolatey colored freaking pieces to make the bridge and the nut. I am open to, honestly, just I guess criticism, because it's not really a finished product. It's just kind of like an idea I'm throwing around right now. So there's not really much else I can really say about this guitar. I am planning on trying to get this thing done by August the latest. There's nothing really much else I'm saying about the guitar other than the fact that like I'm literally not planning on gluing anything except for the necessary pieces. Necessary pieces being the pieces here that you can see going to be glued onto the metal bars so it can actually connect onto the body. Literally, I'm trying to keep this thing connected by like the studs. The only thing being that will actually get screwed in is going to be the tuning keys, which are going to be sitting here. So yeah, the headstock, been thinking about changing up the shape, but at the same time I'm not. Mostly just trying to keep the look of it, which I have like this little downward slope thing, look the same as the Lego electric guitar. If I try changing up the shape too much and trying to add like the round pieces, like the flat pieces that have like the studs on the side, so I can actually add like a different shape or like the different like angle pieces onto it, might look a little bit weird, but that might just be me. So right now I'm just keeping it blocky. It just kind of like looks in series with the Lego electric guitar. So I'm just kind of thinking about just keeping it the same. So yeah, so if anybody else has any ideas or criticism, thoughts, anything, let me know. Freaking, like I said, this is still like a working project. Like I won't really know if the thing will hold together first of all when I initially build it, but I won't really know that until I start getting the pieces to actually build it. So yeah, just like let me know if anything, any changes, anything you want to see on this guitar. Yeah, just feel free to say it. Hey, thank you very much. Bye.